A project file is what the map inventor uses to find the files when you open an assembly. In this lesson, we'll focus on the file search paths. I'll click the project dialogs. And you can see I only have 3 projects. CAD Gorilla Advanced Assemblies Models is used for these lessons, and it's the active project. Default is included with Inventor, and it is used unless you create a new one. I also have a samples project because I downloaded the Inventor sample files. Let's look at the default project, since it is the one you'll use until you create your own project file. Any items that are grayed out use the default location. The workspace is the most important file location, and the default is the same location as the project file. It is important that the location for the project file and workspace are on your computer. If they are on a network server, there can be significant delays opening files. In most companies, the files are stored on a server, but you should copy the files you need to your local workspace. Libraries are used for standard components. These are typically purchased parts, such as motors, but they can also be components you make that are used in different assemblies. Libraries are useful because there is an icon for them in the File Open and Place Component dialogs, so you can go right to the location. A frequently used subfolder adds a shortcut to the Open, Save, and Place Component dialog. The folder options are the paths to the design data, the templates, and the Content Center files. The default locations are defined in the application options, but you can also override the location. For example, the CAD Gorilla project has a different Content Center files location, so it can be self-contained. There are several options, but the only one you should look at right now is the old versions to keep on save. When you save a file, Inventor can create a copy of the previous version. These previous versions are stored in an old versions folder where the file is located. The default setting for old versions to keep is 1, because it can take up a lot of space if you have several old versions of every file. You can change the number of old versions, but if you set it to -1, it will keep all of them. I don't recommend saving them all because it quickly fills up your hard drive. Now let's take a look at the CAD Gorilla file since it has some changes. There is a new item that wasn't in default. The location matches the project location in the upper pane. The location is in every project file except for default. It's in both panes because you are focused on the top pane when you are selecting a project file, and you are focused on the bottom pane when you are editing one. A library location is defined, and the location is the Shared Components folder in the workspace. The workspace is indicated by the // before the folder name. A library does 2 things. It adds a shortcut to the dialogs, and the library files are set to read-only in Inventor. The files in the library are supposed to be standard components, so they are rarely, if ever, edited. If you do need to edit a library file, you should have a different project file without the library location. The design data and templates use the default locations, but the Content Center files location is changed to a location in the CAD Gorilla directory. This allows us to keep the Content Center files in our assemblies in a separate location from your Content Center files. Finally, the old versions to keep is set to 3. I'll create a new project file so you can see how it works. I'll click the New button at the bottom of the dialog to launch the project file wizard. On the first page, you can choose between Vault and Single User. Autodesk Vault is recommended for managing file versions, but this is just a test project, so I'll select Single User. On the next page, I'll name it Test Project, and I'll leave it in the CAD Gorilla folder. I'll click Next, and I'll copy the CAD Gorilla library location to this project. When I click Finish, I get a dialog prompting me that the new project folder doesn't exist. I'll click OK, and the project file is added to the project file list.